the most important part of this is Kent Blackstone, our player we announced, returning this year. Super excited to have you on the Zoom, man. And, to start it out, I'd like to turn it over to you and just let you say a couple words about how excited you are to join the team again this year and maybe try to bring a championship to Waldorf.
Yeah. So, just to piggyback off that, Andrew, thanks for the intro. I think Josh is going to be joining us here shortly. I just to say a few words. Baseball's back, been a long time coming. And I couldn't be more excited to get going with the group of guys we have coming in. It's just going to be great to see some of those guys and start competing again and getting back out on the field and playing a full schedule. So couldn't be more excited to get going and looking forward to like you said, bringing a championship to Waldorf. We have the pieces. Last year we were talking about that. Obviously the circumstances didn't allow us to get going, but super excited.
Fantastic. What I would like to do now is I would like to open it up to a couple questions. The way that we would like to do that is if you could type in the chat that you are ready to ask a question, I will go ahead and unmute you and allow you to ask any questions that you might have. One question that I know I want to ask is, it sounds like, I guess I didn't know this. Is your uncle the on-field host for the West Virginia Power?
Yeah, he is. So yeah, he is. He's been the toast man out in West Virginia for, since I've been a little kid. So that is going to be, and the fact that we open up against them in West Virginia is going to be something pretty cool to experience. Because we used to go there as kids every weekend for his birthday. Got to meet all. We met Ryan Braun. We met who else? Gregory Polanco. All those guys who came up. During that time, we got to meet them when we were there. We have some crazy stories about it. Pablo Sandoval standing behind him in the McDonald's line, talking about he wants to throw a baseball through the toast man's head. And so yeah, he's a legend down there, and it's pretty cool that's gonna be in the Atlantic League now. So
I'd like to toss it. I didn't see a message, but I'm sure Will Thompson, I would imagine, from the ALPB News, I'm sure he has a question.
There it is. Yeah.
Would I be right in assuming that?
Yeah, Andrew, you'd be right in assuming that. I appreciate that. Kent, how are you? Welcome back to the Atlantic League.
Yes.
I guess my first question to you is, since we've had such a long layoff since you have played in the Atlantic League since 2019, I guess, how did you approach that over the 2020 season to stay ready to go for this year?
Yeah, no, that's been kind of tough for everyone. I was fortunate to kind of get this Win Reality system, which is basically virtual reality that simulates live pitching. So that's something in the meantime that I've been trying to utilize. I train every day up at the gym here in Ashburn. So body wise, I'm completely ready. It's just kind of staying in to like the game reps, because it's hard to simulate that. I played winter ball in New Zealand last year, but they didn't end up playing in the ABL this year due to the COVID restrictions. But yeah, that's something that is going to be, with an abbreviated spring training as well. I think we have like a week or so. That's something that I was kind of talking to Billy Horn, who kind of runs some beforehand leagues before the season, and seeing if they were going to put anything on, because I know there's pent up demand for guys to kind of get back out and start playing. So that's yeah, just do it, like staying flexible. I mean, this whole year has been the definition of flexibility. So that's been the plan.
Right, and I guess my other question is coming from before you were joining the Blue Crabs back in 2018, you were in the Pacific Association, so
Yeah.
quite a jump to the Atlantic League. So
Yeah.
I guess how was that adjustment for you going from the Pacific Association to the Blue Crabs in the Atlantic League, and how do you fit? And maybe how are you preparing to be in the Atlantic League for a second year? Do you think that's going to be easier for you?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So to piggyback off that, I started in the Pecos League, uh, which was I mean, I like at that time I didn't really know what it was because I started off in the Frontier League, got released. That was the first time I've gotten released, and so I was like, I need to play somewhere. And one of my buddies was like, hey, come play out with me. I'm like, all right, cool. I get out there, I'm like, dang, this is this is different. But I mean, it was a humbling experience, and then that took me into the Pacific Association, finished there really strong, and then got the opportunity um, to join the Blue Crabs in spring training. Stan and Joe gave me the opportunity. I actually got totaled. I got into a big car crash the first day of spring training, which like my head was kind of ringing, and um, I didn't know if I had a concussion or not. But I showed up the next day with like scratch it like kind of marks on my face from the crash. I sent Stan the video. He's like, dude, what are you doing here? I was like, I need to make this team. So I think from there on out, I was kind of on the team for the first month and a half. I didn't play. I was kind of like the video guy. I was like, guys, I have my iPad. I can take videos for your at bats. And Stan gave me the opportunity um, to start. I at home, and I took full advantage of it. And he obviously let me play from there on out. So I mean, I learned so much from the guys. I mean, Daryl Thompson, Corey Vaughn. I mean, like Matt Latos. I mean, we had a good group of guys to kind of pick their brains. And kind of going into this season, I mean, I'm looking forward to the Atlantic League being even better than it's been. So I mean, I think from what I've learned from those guys, just how they handle the everyday process is what I'm just kind of focusing on for this year.
And I guess my last question for you is, you made a lot of headlines, at least around the Atlantic League community, with your glove, with your
Yeah,
defense at second
yeah,
base. So I guess how important is your defense to you, and a side that often gets overlooked? How important is that to your game? Do you think?
yeah. No, I mean that's something that I kind of like. I really take pride in. I mean, Eddie, our shortstop. I mean, he's one of the best fielders I've been around. So the first month or two for me just to kind of like take ground balls with him every day, see how he takes ground balls. And but I mean that helps so much. And I mean at second base, I love turning double plays, and that's a pitcher's best friend that gets him off the field. And so that like I know what I bring to the table on that side. And I mean like we've talked about is just being a little more consistent at the plate, getting on base, causing havoc, and helping us score runs. So that, I mean, get off the field and score runs. So that's I take a lot of pride in the defense side. So
I
yeah,
appreciate it. Thanks, Ken.
of course, man. Yeah.
Awesome. The next question, it looks like, is from James Christopher with Let's Get To, a baseball podcast with a real big following that is has become a pretty big Blue Crabs fan over these last couple of years. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to James.
Yeah, you guys are our Atlantic League team. Kent, thanks for jumping on. Just a real quick question.
Yeah.
It's not quick. Thinking about how last year has gone, what baseball means to the country, how important do you think this season is going to be for you, other players and fans, as far as just getting back to normal? I mean, how big do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be huge. I mean, I have posted on I've posted on Facebook. My parents have obviously posted on Facebook as well, and I mean, it just, you read the comments and people are like, I can't wait to get out to a game, can't wait to watch baseball. I mean, like me personally, it's been a challenging year, just like for everyone else, and I think it's going to be just as big for the fans as it is the players to kind of be like, we're getting out of this, and baseball's always been there. I mean, through the test of time. So
We'll be up there in August. Can't wait to see you guys.
that's awesome, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much. The next question is from Jackson Drake, I believe, has a question for us.
Yeah. So being from the Northeast, how important is it to coming back to this area and playing in a local spot in a place that you're familiar with? How important is that to you this season?
Yeah. So I mean, that was last year was the first time. This is going on to my fourth year in pro ball. It was the first time I got to play kind of locally and have parents, aunts, family kind of come out to a bunch of games, and so like having friends be able to be like, dude, I can't wait to come out to the games this year. It's super important because I mean, I just like family's always been close, and the fact that they can kind of just take a short drive to come to our games is, I mean, is great. And yeah.
Great. Yeah, family is always important to have close by, so I'm sure that's a huge plus for you.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So I like, hopefully I can get some of the Marshall guys, Marshall High School out this year. They didn't get to make it out last year, but gonna talk to the head coach and see what we can work out for them. So
Great. Thank you.
yeah, man.
I'd like to ask one question for
Yeah.
you, Kent, would be, I certainly saw you, something I always noticed from you was that even at the start of the year when you were kind of proving your way into the role, right? You always had that confidence. You always knew that you had what it took. I remember the first night that one of the first games you started when you went 3 for 4 or something like that with a home run and a double.
Yeah.
You had said to me afterwards, that you knew you had it, and clearly that translated into a starting role and some more action and over on Australia and stuff like that. So what is it from your Atlantic League experience in particular that has made you grow as a player as compared to maybe your time in college or Pecos or Pacific Association or even on Australia?
Yeah, I think it's just it's the professionalism that I noticed guys took to their everyday routines that I thought I had in understanding of, which I mean I did, but just kind of watching guys like Corey Vaughn, Tony Thomas, Charlie Valerio, just position players, Eddie, just watching those guys who played at like AA, AAA, big league level, the highest levels of baseball, and just watching them kind of how they approach each day, and what their routines were. I tried to emulate that as best I could, and that kind of gave me that confidence whenever I got out onto the field, because I was like, I'm doing what these guys are doing. I remember telling Joe Walsh, like, there was a couple weeks before that where I was kind of getting I got a little frustrated because I was like, just give me an opportunity. He's like, just be patient. And I was like, I can play at this level. I know I can. And so I mean, those guys. I mean, I can't say enough about Daryl too. I mean, rooming with him on the road, we would play MLB The Show literally on every road trip, and like just being able to play against him, the way that he pitches and the way that he thinks helped me in the box as well. Because I'm like, I mean, Daryl's Daryl's the GOAT. So I mean, so being able to think on that level was it. Like I see the separator, especially as you go up higher, each in AA, AAA, big leagues. That's why those guys got there. So
Certainly. It looks like we have one more question from Will Thompson.
oh, nice.
Yeah. I was to ask you this earlier, but I guess you'd be a perfect guy to ask. As one of the only guys who's been able to play with the automated balls and strikes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
going to become over the next couple of years going to become a really big part of the
Yeah.
game of baseball. I guess for anyone else who hasn't specifically played with it, I guess what is that experience like? Any quirks in the zone that you think that would be interesting for everyone to know?
Yeah, so that I mean that's actually a great question, because I mean that was the talk of the league last year. I mean, guys, I think on both, I can say on both sides we're a little frustrated with some of the calls. I think for me, and what I noticed, is our perception of the strike zone in the textbook definition of the strike zone has been wrong, because where we stand as hitters is usually in the back of the box, the catcher's behind the plate, and the umpire's behind the plate. But the textbook definition of the strike zone is at the front of the plate. So I think that's what the TrackMan kind of brought to the surface, was some of these pitches, especially especially curveballs that were hitting the bottom of the zone, and then the catcher's catching them pretty low, are actually crossing the plate as strikes for the textbook definition of what the strike zone is. So that's from kind of like the nerdy spectrum, kind of what I noticed. But I mean, like you said, I think that's where the game is going to be going. I think having a uniform strike zone that basically every hitter, every pitcher kind of knows going into it where the strike zone's gonna be, is going to be helpful. I think on the flip side, the old school baseball aspect, like you love talking to the umpire, you love building rapport. I mean, everyone loves watching guys argue balls and strikes, even though, I mean, but I mean that it's kind of the give and take of like, how do we use tech, the technology we have, and at the same time keep the sanctity of what makes baseball great. And that's some of the like camaraderie, talking to the umpires, feeling out their strike zones. So it was a big learning curve, and it was great to kind of be a part of that. And I kind of made headlines for talking about my height. I remember telling Andrew I listed myself at 6 feet tall, and I get to high point and they implement it, and there are like 3 pitches in a row that are at my chest, and the umpire's like, I can't do anything. It's a strike. I'm like, Andrew, change my height. Like, I'm 5'10" and a half. So.
Who doesn't love a six foot second baseman, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess to follow up on that, so when you were, say, protecting with 2 strikes with the automated balls and strikes, I guess from the first half of the season where there wasn't the automated system to the second half where there was, what kind of adjustment was that? Like, did you have to expand what you thought you had to protect, for example, in the second half as opposed to the first half?
Yeah, no, a little bit of that, because I mean, from that borderline perspective, it was like, I mean, you really don't want to get rung up on a close pitch, and depending on the situation, it's, I mean, if there's especially runners in scoring position, it's like, okay, I mean, I'm not trying to go down on strikes. If I'm going to expand my zone a little bit and make sure that I'm not getting rung up on that. I would think that they've kind of cleaned up some things with it, for this year. But I mean, I think from that perspective, what everyone was kind of up in arms about, I think was actually just kind of what our perception of the strike zone is compared to what the textbook definition is. that's kind of like my hypothesis. So that's obviously not that's not like kind of substantiated, but it makes sense. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ken.
yeah, of course.
Awesome. It looks like that's all the questions that we have. I'd like to, thank you, Kent, for being on here today, and everybody for joining in on the Zoom press conference. Home openers on June 4th. Any last words about what to expect on the field this year for a Blue Crabs team?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see all the fans out there again. Like I said, I mean we're really happy with kind of what I've heard the team's kind of panning out to look like, and I just can't wait to kind of get back out there and compete again. So yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. Thanks for all the questions, guys, and look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it. And we will start doing this with some of our player signings from here on forward. So we look forward to having you guys on future calls as well. So thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, guys. See ya.